In this week's Slotted In Their discussion, Damion criticises Tim's head.
But on the outside, none of it should be shiny.
Sean can barely contain his anger.
I was very miffed.
And Tim admits to way too much for a while, so it was a bit of man-on-man action, and then we were just like spraying all over dudes. All this coming up in Slotted In There's discussion.
Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Slot It In There discussion. And this week we will be discussing the new Halo game that's due out in 2026, Halo Campaign Evolved. So, park up those warthogs, take off those helmets, and join us on this ride as we discuss potentially one of the biggest games of 2026.
Well, I've buffed up my helmet. I don't know about you guys.
My helmet is always gleamingly polished.
Oh, yeah, I bet. Bit of spit shine on it. Sorry, did we get derailed? Should we go back to what we were talking about?
So, there's recently been gameplay footage released of the new Halo game coming out next year, Halo Campaign Evolved, which is a full remake, not a remaster, it's a full remake from the ground up of the original Halo that we all love and played so many years ago, didn't we, Tim?
Yeah, I think I played through the first one. In fact, actually, no, I played through the first one, and then I played that one with you guys as well, that I think we got on Game Pass at some point. See, I'm an expert.
So with that, let's have a quick look back at our individual memories of the original Halo Combat Evolved. Damion, I know that you're a big fan of the Halo series. What got you into Halo, and what was your thoughts of the original game way back then?
Well, it was the launch title that came with the original Xbox, which was one of my first consoles that I could appreciate the 3D graphics and the whole story, the lineage of playing through the game, if I'm honest. But the graphics capabilities of that machine back then, with how Halo looked, how it played, it was a whole new way of first-person shooters. It was absolutely divine, and I spent a whole weekend with virtually no sleep, just smashing through that campaign, and then ended up going through it again with a brother, and split screen campaign, mashed through it. When we managed to get our hands on yet another console, we managed to link them together, and we then were playing literally 4-on-4, running around deathmatch and that kind of thing. I've fond many hours and fond memories of that game.
Tim, did you play this originally when it came back out way back when?
Maybe. Like I say, I don't really remember much of it. I do know that I played through one of them. I think I played split screen with someone for a while, so it was a bit of man-on-man action, and then we were just like spraying all over dudes. It was, yeah. I as shooters go, it's not bad, but yeah, I don't know if it's my kind of game. I mean, I know that it's kind of story rich and there's an awful lot of lore and people get very upset about that. I know the Halo TV show suffered a lot because people were very upset about like his helmet coming off, that kind of stuff. Yep. As games go, like I say, it's fun enough. I'd play it, but yeah, it wouldn't be one that I would go out of my way to maybe throw 60 quid at or something like that. Maybe if it was like 10, 15 quid, I'd probably go for it. But I suspect it'll be a little bit more than that at launch.
Well, my original memories of this game are not as good as both of yours. I seem to recall way back when seeing the original footage of this new game that was coming out by this left of field developer on the PC, and I remember watching it with my mates and thinking, oh my god, this looks absolutely amazing. This looks like next level and then some. And everybody was excited for it to be coming out. And then all of a sudden Microsoft came in and went, Jump, thank you very much, we'll have that. And it didn't come out on the PC. It came out on, as Damion said, a launch title on the Xbox. So me being a PC player back then, I was very miffed because I was like, I want this. This game looks absolutely amazing. So am I remembering right there, Damien? Is that basically kind of what happened?
It was console exclusive for a short period, but if you bear with me, I think it's yesterday.
There.
Oh, can't really see it. Because why wouldn't it do that? But that's the original PC version of Halo.
Yeah, I hand it here. I don't have a background.
Yeah. But yeah, it.
Or is it this side? I don't know.
But yeah, it did launch on, but it also suffered from the was it the Games for Windows Live, that period where you had to kind of Microsoft's attempt at trying to push people in to pay for their gaming service, and I think it was sat in and amongst that time period. It didn't get a good launch from what I recall with the PC, but I had it on the original Xbox console. It was just splendid. It was a beautiful thing.
So that's our memories of the original Halo Combat Evolved game, which was groundbreaking in the day. So for this new one, this campaign Evolved, what are we personally hoping this remake delivers? Bit of nostalgia, bit of innovation, bit of new things, or mixture of both? What do you think? What do you want from this game, this new one?
I would like it to be a faithful reconstruction of the original. Update the controls to some degree. Keep the levels basically the same, just with better graphics in a newer engine, that kind of thing. Make it look a lot pretty, look like a game of today.
Yeah, I agree. I want a bit of that nostalgic look back to playing the original one, but obviously in a modern format. I think they're gonna have to rejig a few things with it being 4-player co-op now. So some of the levels, I mean, and some of the levels are like iconic, but they're going to need to be tweaked. Maybe slightly larger, battlefields and playing areas and stuff like that to accommodate 4 people. But I think really they need to keep to that iconic level design and the progression through the campaign. A lot of modern games, for the devout players, it's that core mechanic of the game. Like, with Counter-Strike, it's the game tick, the game speed of the game. It's got to be precise for Counter-Strike players. For Halo, what do we think the core elements of Combat Evolve they need to keep? It's got to remain unchanged to make it feel like a Halo game rather than just another generic shooter.
For me, the gunplay has got to remain as it was, with your needler, your plasma rifle, and everything else, the Magnum, all of that. That's your base layer. You need to keep that. The kind of like the arena spacing that you're in needs to be. I'm going to go with slightly larger now because you've got more players, but I think you need to keep the same AI attributes for the enemy with the way they responded and reacted, diving into cover or out the way, and it would monitor a kind of like attack in a particular way that was the grunts did a particular way of attacking, elites did another type of way, kind of keeping the same structure. But I've got a funny feeling I think they're going to change it. I think they're going to, I want to say 343 it, but it's Halo Studios now. And I think they might take that spark, that initial spark, away with other things that they add in.
I think we could all agree that each of these big game franchises definitely have a feel to each. Like the Doom games have a feel and a way. Speaking of which, BioShock, when you tromping around the levels as the big daddy, you've got that momentum and that weight to your character, and it feels right. And Halo definitely is also one of those games where there's a certain gameplay mechanic and physics, and like you said, the gunplay made it feel that Halo, you're playing a Halo game. They've got to nail that, not only for the hardcore fans of old, but the new players that they're hoping to bring into that, because that's what definitely one of the things that makes these games Halo. It's a Halo game. You know you're playing a Halo game when you've got that gunplay and that response from the AI and the level design and that kind of thing. So I think that's definitely one of the things they've got to get on top of. They're talking about adding some new mechanics to the games, as we've just been talking about the game mechanics. Like you can now apparently sprint in the game for a short period. You can clamber over like obstacles and rocks and aim down sights. What's our thoughts on that? Because that is fundamentally changing the gameplay and adding new elements to it.
Well, the whole point of Master Chief is he's a super augmented human. He's been physically augmented to be faster, stronger, quicker. So adding in sprint isn't, because he's already quicker. And then to traverse a larger area, that's why you have a warthog. And
good point.
What's the point using a warthog if you can super sprint everywhere and then have this kind of action when... No, that's not Halo. That's something maybe you'd get in Battlefield or Call of Duty. That's not a Halo game.
That's an interesting point. But I think what they're trying to do is obviously pulling more newer players who are used to that with the likes of Call of Duty, Battlefield, that kind of thing, to pull those kind of players across.
I was thinking as a point of comparison, Destiny, as it's basically the same people, isn't it? And you think about the fluidity of the movement of the characters and that, where you can literally just jump as high as a building or sprint huge distances. I think that they're perhaps leaning into that kind of thing, and they've probably already got the framework built up for doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, when in the previous games, Master Chief had the ability to do a more superhuman length jump or height, so he could jump higher. Mantling might be a cool feature because it's not been in a Halo game before. So, for him to just rapidly go over something, that could be good. It's going to appeal to newer audiences now, and that's what they need to move forward.
There is another fundamental aspect that we've kind of overlooked with the idea of sprinting, and that is if people are expecting to play these campaigns multiplayer, because that then all of a sudden makes a lot of sense. Somebody gets left behind, you don't want to have to sort of backtrack to catch them back up to where you are, whereas they can sprint to catch up to you, so that kind of makes sense.
In the old Halos, if you were out of the way, you kind of warped or morphed to catch up.
But that could feel a little bit immersion breaking.
It didn't help things. If you're playing as a team, you would play the game as a team, so you wouldn't want somebody left behind. Especially if when you're playing it with 4 players, if they've ranked the difficulty up, if the AI's more like heavier set with more armor and that kind of thing, take more damage. It depends on how you're balancing.
Yeah, because you do have to compensate for there being more players there somehow.
Yeah.
You've got to make it harder in some way.
Adding sprint, I think, is for the modern, like the CODs and that kind of stuff, to try and pull some of those guys over, because it's not a Halo mechanic you had, which the game design was, if it was a large path to go over, you would get in a Warthog or another available transport method to go from place to place, because the area the game area that you're in is kind of part of the story. So if you look around, there are things as you're moving through it. Yeah, it's a sticking point for me, but I get why they're wanting to integrate it.
One of the biggest technical changes of this remake, like I say, it's a full rebuild of the game from the ground up. It's moving from the Slipspace engine, I believe, over to Unreal Engine 5. What do we think the opportunities for this? What does it bring to Halo, moving over to Unreal 5?
Fancier, glitchier graphics.
Well,
you're not wrong.
There is that. Unreal Engine 5 obviously has astounded what it can produce, but it does come with a few glitches and issues of its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you can see in the alpha footage that they released, their pre-game kind of reveal. There are bits where it stutters, the Unreal Engine stutter. So you've kind of got, like, I'm going to call it the Unreal Engine tax. It looks beautiful. absolutely amazing graphically. It looks fantastic, even to the point where the Warthog's driving around and it leaves an imprint of the tyre marks in the sand and all that. But it stutters. Talking about things that take you out of the immersion, you're playing it, you're going at, I don't know, say they try and fix it at 60 frames. And then, you dropped a couple, and then it comes back again, as Unreal does.
I was going to say, from what I've seen other people talking about, they've mentioned sort of lighting glitches as well. There's sort of flickeriness of light sources and stuff.
Yeah, there's fuzziness around some of the assets as well. That's nothing motion blur won't take out.
Good old motion blur.
Yeah, there is that. I mean, we've got to state that, obviously everything is like pre-alpha or alpha footage at the moment, so there's a way to go before they get the final sort of polishes and tweaks to it. But Unreal Engine overall, it can be a hard one to master, but it does. Obviously you get the lumen lighting and the nanite geometry, and which give you these massive visual leaps. So, as you mentioned there, Damion, the look of the alpha footage, I mean, it does look stunning, doesn't it? I mean, you've got to give credit to the Unreal Engine 5 there. It's kind of it's like Halo on steroids. It's gorgeous.
It's stunning to look at. However, here's a nitpick, right? The Forerunner technology, so all of the spires and everything like that, if you look at it, it's all really shiny and new looking. These things are like centuries, millennia year old, and they still look shiny, not worn, weathered, covered in like algae or whatever, something growing over it. Like if you go back to the original Halo games, anything Forerunner technology, because it's that old, actually had like a grime or a sheen over it that made it look like it's old. None of it should be shiny and new. They could improve it, and I do hope that they do get rid of some of the minor issues that are with some of the stuff, like the gun noises.
Yeah, I think maybe those issues you mentioned, surely that's got to be down to sort of like the artists putting these assets together. Like I said, the hardcore fans like yourself pick up on these things where, that shouldn't look like that because that's been there for thousands of years. So I'm sure they're going to pick up on that and, age these assets in the levels to make it look more realistic in that environment. Another thing you mentioned there, AI, that's another concern because everything's obviously getting run through Unreal Engine 5 now, so you've got your AI behaviors. Are they going to be the same? That's a huge, like you mentioned right at the beginning, the way the enemy reacts to you, and certain classes taking certain attack formations and certain defense formations when you're gunning them down, hiding for cover and that. Do we think they're going to be able to reproduce all that with the same feel as it was back then?
Don't know, but what I can say is on their website it says that you can get skulls that can be used to randomize events and certain things within a level, and one of the things it can randomize is altering the enemy behavior.
But the skull-based systems that they had in the previous ones, where you had them definitely in 3 and everything forward from there, and the skulls are modifiers for the game. Like you'll get one where I think it's like the blind skull, where you have no HUD, so you literally don't know where you're shooting at because you've got no reticle in the middle. You don't know how many bullets you've got. There's famine, which you have to beat down the enemy to get bullets for the gun. So these skulls modified the game, and my favourite one was the grunt birthday party. So when you headshot a grunt, you just got like confetti in it.
Yeah, I remember that.
so the skull modifiers have been there for a while, but never in combat evolved. Well, campaign evolved.
With regards to new content for the new campaign evolved, they're adding some prequel missions, and a few of the iconic levels have been redesigned slightly, like we said earlier, probably to accommodate the more like 4 players playing through them. Any ideas on what we can expect for the prequels?
Not really. I think this is going to be one of these where they might hold some of them close to their chest, because there were, I think was it Dig Site? I think they pulled back some stuff they'd found and released them as like mods. Again, you're picking up from Bungie as they were back then to the Halo team that we've got now, and their design thoughts and how they want to illustrate it and push it forward could be different to what was originally there.
Assuming it comes out in 2026, can you see yourself getting this day one and blasting through it with 3 mates through the campaign?
You've got 3 mates.
Acquaintances.
No, for me, it's a no, largely because I know that it will launch with a pretty hefty price tag. When some time's passed, or maybe it comes up as something on some sort of service that maybe isn't Xbox, but it probably will be Game Pass, then maybe, if the price starts to creep down a bit.
Well, you mentioned Game Pass there, because one of the other things we haven't mentioned about this new version of the game is it's fully cross-play. So for the first time, PlayStation players will be able to play a Halo game. Damion, are you going to be getting it day one, giving it a go?
Depending on its launch price, that's a stick, because it's the campaign. That's it. So it's not like a £70 or $80 game. In my eyes, this is, you're getting maybe a third of what you originally got. So if it's around 40 quid, something like that, £40, $45 kind of stuff, I might be tempted to get it day one. If it's coming out on Game Rash, I might get it on that and use a few quid for that for a while. But it would be PC Game Pass rather than getting it on a console. But it would be nice to be actually play the game with some mates that are on the PlayStation flavour and see how they like it or what their thoughts are, because this is, I won't say not a concept they're used to, but it's a game that they've never had access to on their platform. So it would be nice to be able to share their first run through the game and to see if it gives them the big Google eyes it gave us back in 2000 and whenever it was on the original Xbox.
I don't think it's going to be one that I'm going to be looking to get on day one, unless the hype from between now until then sort of like just keeps increasing and everybody's kind of saying, who's in the know, that this is the next thing since sliced bread, everybody needs to jump on this. It's one I'm going to keep an eye on, because I've got many fond memories of playing Halo back in the day, but probably not day one. Yeah, and the other thing which we haven't mentioned is the iconic sound and soundtrack of it. What are they going to do with that? Because back in the day,
Give it the same.
No, I don't think they will. I think they'll...
Well, they've got to keep the theme.
Oh, no. Sorry, no. I misunderstood. Yeah, you've got to have that iconic Halo theme tune, but I think audio-wise, there's maybe much more they can do with it. It often gets overlooked, doesn't it, in games and just the impact it has. But I distinctly remember the Halo soundtrack and the gun sounds and just being awesome back in the day. But anyway, we can literally talk about this forever and ever. 2 of us have got really fond memories of it. One of us is kind of meh. But what about you guys? What's your thoughts about the upcoming Halo Campaign Evolve game? Are you looking forward to getting it? Are you going to be getting it in day one? Are you going to be playing it with your friends? Are you going to be playing it on the PlayStation? Let us know down in the comments below. We'll always interact with you. We'll always respond. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Like and subscribe.